Hi guys. How is everyone? Um, oh, I forgot to say, and there's always a lag, Anthony. So if you were theoretically like sometimes what I will do is just everybody give us a second so I can kind of explain to him. Like what I will do is go ahead and watch it. See, there's such a lag that it still hasn't started according to my phone.
Okay.
But there's usually a lag. So sometimes when you ask someone a question, like someone will ask us a question, and then we're like, "Are you still there?" There's a little bit of a lag for how long it comes in.
Okay.
So Annie's having fish tacos for dinner.
Nice. That sounds
I
good.
had I had carne asada tacos yesterday. So let me turn this down.
I'm actually
So,
making fish today, so
ooh.
salmon.
That's what I like about being on the East Coast, and closer to the ocean, you get more, as opposed to Colorado. Um, so this is my friend Anthony, and hello Teresa, hello Vivian, hello. I'm trying to scroll up and say my highs, Suzanne and Vanessa, and those lurkers that I know are in there. So Anthony and I have been friends for many years, and we are, that what brought us together is, I would say, mysticism. Would that be what you would
Oh,
call it?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and I always say, I believe that spirit, God, whoever you would like to say, the universe puts people into your life for a reason. And so he is my spiritual buddy. Hi, Ian. And so he was in Vegas and I was in Colorado, and then he ended up moving to Colorado, and we met and talked. And anytime there's spiritual questions or just someone to kind of ask and share spiritual things with, this is my go-to guy. So today I really it's been about a week actually that I've really been thinking about the dark night of the soul or black night of the soul, and I've been wanting to do something, and today it just felt right. And then I asked Anthony, and it just so happened to be his day off, so it was great. So we're going to talk about that. And if you have any questions, remember that I don't have my eyeballs on, so I would ask that you put it in all really large caps. And we're kind of, it's not going to only be about Dark Night of the Soul or Black Night of the Soul, whatever you call it. Because we tend to get sidetracked when we talk, and we end up talking about different things. So don't hesitate to just ask a question if you need to. Okay. So, Anthony, I would say, well, I would ask, what's your thought process? Like, what if someone said, "What is a dark night of the soul or black night of the soul?" What would you say to them?
But from a mystical point, or just from a general?
Mystical.
From a mystical side, we're forced to go through it. We have to, and it's something that derives. I kind of explained off the air what happened to me, so it was pretty traumatic, and that's usually what happens. It makes you want to give up, makes you want to stop and walk away, and but that's part of the test, and that's why it's there. It's to test you to see, to have you push through it. You need to. So I feel that it's part of a process, an evolutionary process. Personally, it's my take
Yeah.
on it.
I think you're absolutely right in the aspect that usually it is something really traumatic, whether it's a loss, some kind of loss in your life, to make you look at yourself, just like you said, and kind of, for me, I always think it's an upgrade. Um, if you can process through that, if you can work your way through that, and we were just talking about our our country, our world, our everybody is kind of going through this all at one time. We're all going through this. These are all these shifts. These are all these looking at your belief system, seeing what you believe. But on a personal note, it can be, um, Suzanne says, I'll highlight that, Suzanne. It can be where you're at now. So that may be where I'm at now. This is divorces, and this is job losses, and this is death in the family, and it can even be your pet that has died. I mean, any sort of loss that you consider to be traumatic, that really makes you look at yourself.
Right.
So what do you think is the best way through it?
Well,
Like, what helped you?
well, part of my training is I belong to these organizations. Part of what they asked me that question. We've discussed this already. They asked me a question about is there free will or destiny? And I toyed with that for about 2 years. Then when I went through my dark night of the soul, it just happened to be at the same time. I learned that we, before we enter this reality, before we're born, we choose our destiny, because there's different points in our lifespan that we're going to have to go through these certain things, and we can't break it. You're bound to be there. The free will is how you get from point A to B. You can go left, right, up, down, sideways, whatever, but it's how you get to point B. That's the free will. So I ended up answering my own question with something very traumatic that happened to me, and it definitely solidified it. It actually made me stronger later on. But yeah, it's definitely that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I think leaving Colorado was, I would agree, positive mental attitude. Ian says positive mental attitude. Leaving Colorado was definitely the start of my Black Night of the Soul, and it's lasted for 2 years.
Sure.
And I think for me, it was definitely like facing things. And
Sure.
Does that make sense? Like I had to face a lot of things about myself.
Yes.
I had to face a lot of things, who I was as a person, and be okay with certain things. And, I think it changes for each person. And by all means, guys, feel free to chime in. It's like, I think had I not faced it and just kind of, put the blanket over my head and just cried all the time, I don't think I would have gotten through as much as I did. But I do think there's a leveling up as a soul that we do to get there.
Yes.
Is that Black Night of the Soul, as you definitely level up as a spirit.
Right. It's a type of evolution. Absolutely. Yes. Evolving. Because a lot of people ask that question: why are we here? Why are we here? And the main reason why we are here is because I liken it to, I try to explain it this way to people, that we're made of the stuff of the universe, okay? And the star that's our sun, we're made exact same stuff as that. The only difference between us and that is that we're conscious. The star is not. We are very conscious, and maybe it is, but we are conscious. So we're basically the universe learning about itself. We're evolving and learning about itself. We reincarnate over and over and over again. So these things that we go through are meant to. If you try to figure out why you go through them, you go crazy. You can't. But we do go through these things, and it's part of an evolutionary process that we all go through. Every one of us. We always will.
I want to tag this.
Okay.
Annie says, last dark night doorway for me was in 2020. Still have an after effect, not driving for distances. I would say that, Annie, 2020 was a huge dark night of the soul time. for everybody involved, because
Mhm.
that really forced everyone. You had to stop. You had to, those things, those outward things that we chased, whether it was going to work everywhere or every day, was whether it was whatever your daily routine was completely shaken up. I mean, that was, to me, that was in my lifetime, this lifetime, that was the first dark night of the soul, because it really forced you to look at what was important. It really forced you. And spirit, I will tell you this: spirit, God, whoever you want to call it, universe, um, I've known plenty of people that when they're not on their journey and they're not on their paths and they're not doing the things that they will do, I firmly believe that that this black night of the soul um, comes up to also kind of get you back onto your path. I've had friends that were readers who did not want to be readers, who really didn't want to, they just didn't really want to go that route because they didn't want people thinking they were crazy. One of my good friends had a brain tumor. And once she started reading and getting on her path and she went through that whole thing, brain tumor went away. I want to hit Navara. We're learning and upcycling. Lost my husband last year in April and took a long look at my life this last year. Patterns need to be broken. That's exactly it. And I'm sorry for your loss. But that is exactly it. Go ahead.
We're forced to push through these. We have no choice. We can't walk away from it. Like this poor lady, losing her husband. I'm sorry to hear that, but that's something that happened, and we have to face it as part of our evolution. Honestly, it's horrible sometimes, but it's necessary.
Yep. Wayne says, I've had several dark nights in my life and some worse than others. I would 100% agree to that.
Yeah.
I think that if you're more willing to work through those things that it's forcing you to look at or forcing you to see, then you'll get through it quicker.
Yes. Yes. And it's just stuff that we have to go through, unfortunately. But it's part of our evolution, our growing.
Yeah. On that note, I'm going to throw another, I figured this is where they're guiding me. So, one of the things that always comes up in readings is, the dark night of the soul. Another thing that comes up is, manifesting. Nervous. Some of us are slow learners. That would be me. I keep banging my head on the wall. Those of you that know me know that would be me. I'm a slow learner. But another thing that comes up is manifesting. And years ago, we talked about radio frequencies and, being in tune with that person and putting it out there. And that's another thing, because I think not only is manifesting important, but I'm a firm believer that you create your reality. I've always believed that you create your reality. And, so I want to talk about that in reference to what's your thought process and how do you go about creating what you want to see or where you want to go or what you want.
Through manifestation. You're absolutely correct. It's people have to realize that this reality we live in is mental. Everything's mental, and to sit there and say that there's something outside of you doesn't exist. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it doesn't. And we know scientifically that it's not there. And there's a lot of scientists that are trying to figure out why. But as far as like manifestations, just remember that visualization, your heart, If your heart has 70,000 neurons in it, it's just like your third brain. Your gut is your second brain. It has a lot of neurons as well. And so even in the book of Thomas, it says when the three become one, and you say mountain move, the mountain will move. It has to. See, the universe will give you exactly what you ask for. So be careful what you're asking for and how you ask it, because it'll give you exactly. If you walk around and you tell yourself, hey, my life sucks, well, you're going to get more of that. It's the same thing. Here's a good experiment that I always tell people. The Wiccans, they developed a goddess who started off as a god and transformed into a goddess. But anyways, it's called Squat. When you pulling into a parking lot, tell Squat a dirty joke, because she likes dirty jokes, and say, Squat, Squat, find me a spot. And you will always get a perfect parking spot. And you could say, okay, see, the Squat and the dirty joke and stuff is a tool, but it's all here. It's mental. And if you tell yourself that you get perfect parking spots every day, you will. The universe will give it to you. So you can do little tricks like that, little tests to just see and watch it. When it happens, you go, oh my God, that's crazy. But if you could do small things like that, just think of the big things you can do as well, as far as manifesting. Like I said, visualization, the heart, and the gut. And the three come together. The universe has to give you what you're asking for. It cannot not give it to you. It must. It's a law.
So what would you say to people that are like, I'm a big one for writing it down. Like, what is the way that you do it? If you can share it.
Well, some of it I can.
Yeah.
Mainly I'll go into meditations sometimes for 4 hours at a time. But I go into meditations and I visualize it. I make it as real as I possibly can here. So I can see, taste, smell, hear everything, just like I am right here. And I put emotion into it through the heart. And then the action is getting up off my bed or my chair, wherever I'm meditating, and going out and doing it, because it'll come to you then. You attract it. And that's how I do it. And it works very well. I mean, extremely well. So, I mean, it's like when I met you, okay? I was in Las Vegas, and I wasn't happy here. I wanted to change. I wanted to go to Colorado. And I manifested where I was going to live. I manifested how I was going to get there, what was going to happen, and everything came to pass. I can't talk about work that I'm currently on, but past work I can kind of discuss a little bit. So then things like that do happen. I mean, I've manifested money that's just out of the blue. And that really blew my mind, because I was completely broke, needed a tire, had no money, no job, and I was going down for a job interview actually. And I followed things I was just talking about, and I called, and the action was I called and I found a tire that was like $98 whatever for my car, and I did the things that I did. I visualized it, I emotionalized it. The action was looking for the tire, which I did. So all three of those came together, and within a half hour, $70 came into my bank account. And this is a true story. $70 came into my bank account because of past. I used to be in insurance, and something I didn't even know I was getting just showed up in my bank account out of the blue. So I'm like, okay, I'm like $18.50 short on getting the rest of it. So I went down to Walmart and I tried to talk the guy out of tax or whatever, just to give it this. I really needed it. So the guy's like, dude, he goes, look, it's it's electronic. We can't do anything. So I started to turn around and walk away, and I did. I put my hands in my pocket, and I pulled out the exact amount that I needed to get that tire. From that day forward, I was like, this is crazy. But it's true. You can do it, and it's not as hard as people think. It's just the biggest problem people have is they deny it. They don't believe it themselves. And the belief part of it, the understanding it, is big. It's huge. So when you want to manifest, that's another thing. When you want to manifest something, don't dwell on it. Don't try to force it to come to you, because if you do, you're not as mental as God is. God's much more intelligent than you, or creator, whatever you want to call it. Is more intelligent than you are. So don't try to you know, make it happen a certain way because you'll screw it up. Do
Well,
you know?
and when I first started talking about manifesting, I would tell people, you know, if you want a new car, just say, I want a new car. You know,
Right.
don't say, I want a yellow car with green and, or, you know, blue outside. You know, don't do that, because yellow and blue make green, and now you're pissed off you got a green car. You know, and
Right.
that's what I would tell people. I think that when you try to, you know, my guides always show me this line that, you know, you're going like this and you're narrowing it. And when you try to narrow it like that, it loses its magic on how it gets to you.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. You can't do that.
You know, so I mean, you know, I think I shared a couple of videos ago where, I mean, it was a miracle that I got this place, because I mean, I was paying $2,300 for the other apartment. I needed 1,800 for the deposit and 1,800 for the first month's rent. And I was the only one that was working. And
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, Spirit, I don't know how this is going to happen, but if I'm meant to be there, then please let me get all that money. I was working a lot of overtime. I was blessed by a friend who paid me literally in advance for a bunch of readings. And I got the down payment, and you know, everything just kind of worked. But I think that I was blessed in, you know, and we kind of discussed this off camera, that my family was very spiritual and very much always about, they taught me very young about manifesting, and I never knew what it was. My mom always told me, don't ever worry about money. And this is what a lot of people do, because the more you worry about money, you don't get money.
Right. I love your mom,
You know?
by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I miss her. But you know, and it's true, because I always say, look at the energy, because look at the energy that you're putting out. Worry, money, and it's not coming. And the universe is gonna give you exactly that. It's not
Right.
coming. You're not getting it, you know, but yeah, when you're open to it. So, yep.
Yes.
Um,
Here's something, you guys. It's a secret about Karen that a lot of people don't know. She's a second generation mystic, and I know
Yeah.
her family very well. Well, I don't know her family, all of them yet, but I know her mom and stuff, and we all work in the same circle. So yeah,
Yeah.
she had a head start. I know, right?
Yeah, but I keep it on the down low. I don't. Yeah, I'm like, you know, and I think, but you know, I think the reason why I have always kept it quiet is because my mom did raise us that way. I think the society is a lot open now than what it was when I was growing up. I mean, my mom always, you know, it was great because my mom was like, you know, I remember the first time I saw a ghost standing at the end of the hallway, and I'm like, I can't go down there. There's a man there. And you know, I was little, and my mom always supported me through that. And she always talked to me through that. And she was just like, okay, but don't tell anybody, you know? So you know, I have a hard time telling people things like that, because it's just like, I'll just keep that on down low, a little secret, you know?
Some of it too. I mean, because of the circles that we run in, or you know, that I'm in, at least we can't discuss it. And so I can see why she would say that, you know, at early age to you too. You know, some things we're not allowed to talk about. But so I'll discuss as much as I can. I just can't discuss methodologies too much.
Yeah.
Be careful. Anyways.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Because does anybody have any questions out there? I know there's a lot of lurkers out there just lurking and listening, but does anybody have any questions for Anthony or I? Not the winning lotto numbers. I know Ian. I always find that funny. I always find it funny that Karen's being cheeky, but is part of your family, Panama, or am I tripping? Yes. So my mom is from Panama originally. and she is Panamanian, so they definitely had a different belief system. And my mom was raised religious, but she also had a very metaphysical side to her. And actually, Anthony, I would say third generation, because my grandmother,
True.
my mother, my father, and I even think my great great grandmother. So, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So,
I mean, I know it definitely runs in your family. I mean, we
yeah,
talked about it. I've met your mom. I know your mom. What a
yeah,
wonderful lady she was.
yeah. I mean, there was, like I said, there were things that my mom instilled in us. You know, she talked about manifesting at an early age. She talked about gratitude, you know, which I think is really huge. Hi, Sharon. You know, it's like, what gifts do you share, Anthony?
What gifts do I share? My goodness.
What gifts do you share?
Narrow
Um,
that a little bit.
how? Say that again.
To narrow that a little bit. I mean, because I don't look at it as gifts personally myself. I'm sure there are people that are born that are special, absolutely, but I don't have gifts. I just assume I've studied. If you look at what I've studied, if I was in college, I'd have doctorates on every subject right now because I've studied.
Yeah.
You know that. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
my organizations I've been with for so many years. I don't really consider them gifts because anybody could do it. You just have to understand it and go through the process because it takes a lot of training, a lot of things that we're taught. It just takes time.
Yeah. I think
Myself.
that society, I think our society, you know, when we come into this world, we're still connected. We still
Yes.
can see and do, and that's
Mhm.
why kids are the way that they are, and we shut it down. And I was just blessed to have a mom and aunts and uncles and just bunch of people that just literally stayed connected and had their kids connected. So,
Right.
um,
Well, they say
so Annie, I think go ahead.
no. I was just going to say, as you talk about children, I mean, the Jesuits said, "Give me your child at birth until the age of 7, and I will make that person. I will create that person," and they can, because as far as children go, especially, it's very important because children are in the theta brain state, and when they're born, because we're like a horse. When a baby horse is born, if it's not up and running within an hour, it'll die. Human babies don't do that. They have to learn
Yeah.
everything, and so they absorb everything. A lot of people don't realize too. I mean, because I just give you an example. Let's say a woman has her daughter sitting in a basket. She's over shopping at the shopping market, and some guy is behind, screaming at his wife, calling her all kinds of horrible, horrible names. That child's hearing this. That child will absorb it, and then 40 years later, wonder why she is having problems with marriage or problems with men. And it could very well be directly because of that. And what's cool though is because our brains, our subconscious minds will repeat things like a broken record. So if you get an abused woman, like a friend of mine, she was abused, left the man, went right back into another abusive relationship. Why? Because of something that happened to her when she was between the age of birth and 7 years old. And it was a program that was put in there. Now, what's cool is you can get rid of them. You can take them out. It takes 21 days to do it, and you can absolutely do it. There's no doubt. I've done it myself because we all.
I was going to say, because you told me that, I want to say, you told me that when I went to Florida, right before I had decided to change everything in my life. You told me that, and it was the recording, wasn't it? You told me something about the recording.
Yes. Yeah. It's simple. Yeah. It's not too difficult. Because if you look at, to give you an example of why, well, let me explain what it is first. List what it is that you want yourself to be, and like the things that you don't like about yourself, list it, and then put the opposite side of that on the other side of the paper, what you want to be, and take a recording on your phone and just loop it. You just go in, I am beautiful, I am love, I am this, I am that, I'm this. But always put I am in there because you're speaking to yourself. Don't go on YouTube and listen to these other people, because when it comes from you, it's much more powerful than if you go to somebody else trying to tell you something. Because what happens is your subconscious mind, like back in the 80s, when you go to the movie theaters, they were putting subliminals up on the theater screens. They're saying, you're thirsty, drink Coke, eat candy, get more popcorn. And it kept flashing. You couldn't see it with your eyes, but your subconscious was picking it up. So their sales went up 1,000% the same day when they started doing this. Well, the FCC came in and said, no, you got to stop this immediately. Why? Because it's very powerful. It's a powerful marketing tool. But you can use that same tool yourself and just loop it, just put it on your phone. Just I am and whatever you want, and listen to it softly every night. Let it play all night long while you're sleeping, because that's when your subconscious mind is open to receiving, because your subconscious mind will block everything that you want to try to change. It does it, and it's notorious for it because it doesn't like change. That's like when you go to a new school, you're a young kid, you go to a new school, you get those little butterflies in your stomach. That's why, because it's your subconscious saying, no, you don't want to do this. I'm scared. And it'll actually make you try to stop you from doing things, change, because it doesn't like change. So, yeah, you can absolutely. It's not hard. It takes 21 days to reset the synapses in here, get rid of the old connections and build new ones, and the neurons, and we know that specifically. Science, that's science backed by science. So you can absolutely change the way things are.
I would say that definitely helped me, change some stuff back then and just be stronger to do what I needed to do. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Wayne. Our programming does fight back, and that's why it's best to record, do it at night, because you have no fight back. You're at your, cleanest, I guess you could say. That's what they keep saying, your cleanest state.
Right. That's why when you go to sleep at night, you should never watch TV. You should never have your TV on. Because your subconscious will pick it up and start playing those. If you watch it every night for 21 days, you watch a horror movie, God forbid, think about it. So it absolutely is. Yeah, you should never watch TV when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Put it off. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? I mean, I didn't want to miss any. Atticus has decided he's joining us today.
Cool.
He's keeps popping me. So.
You've had him for a long time, man.
Huh?
You've had him for a while.
I know, 11 years.
Yeah, I know.
Him and I have been through some stuff together. So, any questions out there? Anything that you want to know? Because we're not going for 2 hours. I just want you to know. Hello, Kevin. How are you? It was funny because earlier I text Kevin, because Kevin, I was thinking about doing this and having this little, any questions about metaphysical stuff, anything, and then talk about the dark night of the soul. And then Kevin pops on and he was doing kind of the same thing. And I'm like, hey, I was going to do that.
Right.
But yeah. I do not have Black Betty. I traded my truck for a CRV because that's
really? How I didn't even know that. Wow, would you do that?
No, and right before, it was weird, really weird. I'll tell you the story. So, I went over there, and all of a sudden, I got up one morning and I heard trade in your truck, and I was like, oh, I don't think so. I love that truck. I mean, so let me tell you guys, this is the greatest truck in the world. It was a black, had tinted windows, killer rims, had Kevlar tires.
Remote start.
The remote start.
It was freezing up.
It had, I loved it. And so they said, sell your car. And I said, I don't think so. And so I struggled with this because that was my baby. And then I was, just talking to my guides and I said, I don't want to sell that car. I really love that car. And I heard it again, sell your car. And I said, fine, I'll just go to the car dealership and check it out. And so I went to CarMax or whatever it was.
Mhm.
So that's where I decided I was going to go. I get in my car. I go to start it. My car will not start. The truck did not start. And I was mad. And I'm like, okay, you want me to sell my truck, but now you made it so I can't start it. If you want me to sell it, then you better make it start, because how am I supposed to get there? And, of course I do my thing and I press, try it again. It starts right up. I go to Carmart or CarMax or whatever that thing was. The car is from Colorado, so it's clean. It has no rust. It has, it is a clean body for a 2018, I think whatever it was. Nice and clean. And so I get down there and they give me $24,000 for my truck.
Oh, wow.
Yes. One of the other reasons I got rid of it was because Atticus had a really hard time getting in there. And so I traded it in and got like $6,000 or $7,000 back. So that's how I ended up with no truck.
Nice.
So, but yeah. And then I think it was maybe a week or 2 weeks that the gas prices went like berserk crazy. It was close to $5 here. And I was like, okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me that bit of information.
I know.
So,
well, it's funny you say that. I mean, because the way the universe works is crazy. I mean, because it's like, remember when we met that one time in Colorado Springs, that house that I was living in, big 5-bedroom, that massive 5-bedroom house. I manifested that house, and I had no job. Because it was 2020. We were on lockdown with COVID and everything. I had no job, nothing, and ended up renting that house for a year.
Yeah.
And it's just the way the universe works is amazing. It's so cool.
I always get, by the way, if you guys, I know that you have some markers that are new, but when I look over here, it's because my spirit guides are talking to me. So I always get these signs of people that are like, they go like this. I really want this, but it's like, I really want a relationship, but I really don't want to be someone in my space.
Right.
Okay, I really want this relationship, but I don't think I'm ready for this. And they literally show this person fly fishing saying, I want this, but, and then they reel it back in.
Right.
And so it's always about, for me, it's about putting it out there, letting you do it, and then like leave it out there. Don't take it back,
Oh,
and
yeah, because that's what a lot of people do. They want this or they want that, but then they try to force it. Like, let's say relationships, for instance. If you're out searching for that person, you're never going to find that person. You're going to find everything but. Put it out there in your brain, what it is you want, put it out there and let it go. Because then what you're looking for will come to you. And it'll show up in really crazy, mysterious ways, And when you're trying to figure out where, when, and how, that's when everything gets jacked up. It won't happen. Usually the opposite will happen.
Something I heard the other day, because I'm a very visual person. Like I say, I always write things, and I always write things down. And so I don't remember where I heard it, but they said, if you don't know what to manifest things like, I want to smile for reasons I don't know yet. I want to be happy for reasons I don't know yet. And so, it seems like when I go through some traumatic things, I start rewriting my list, and I start rewriting things of what does the next chapter look like? And so that's where I was. So you can add that to your manifestation thing. It's like, I want to feel in love for reasons I don't know yet. You know, if you can't envision it and feeling, that's something that you could use is, I want this for reasons I don't yet know yet, you know?
Sure,
So,
absolutely. Yes. And I always tell people, especially in relationships, when I'm dealing with people in relationships, they want to know why this is happening, why that. And one of the questions I always ask them is, do you love yourself?
mhm.
And if you don't love yourself first, you'll never have that perfect relationship. You can't. And I always suggest, go in front of a mirror, stand in front of a mirror like the one behind me here, and look at it and tell yourself you love yourself and how much you love yourself, and do that every day until you become comfortable saying it. In the beginning, it's like weird, but when you get used to it, then it becomes second nature. Then you start realizing that, yeah, you really do love yourself, and when you do, then things will start changing and turning for you. Because a lot of people don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done. I'm waiting for you.
Now, I think that's a really good idea, because especially for those people and those of us who have been in those really turmoil,
Right.
bad relationships where we've heard we're pieces of shit, where we've heard we're not worth anything, where we've heard all of those things.
Yeah.
And that really is, one of the things I learned was that wasn't me. I mean, I wasn't any of those things. It was just that person's low self-esteem and power and control in all of those ways. And so, I mean, I know I can feel it. There are a couple of people in the chat, and there's going to be some more later that are really going to. You're absolutely, Suzanne. I mean, some of this stuff does come from childhood. I don't think anybody escapes out of that. And I think that it's really important to, like Anthony said, reprogram the mind. Tell yourself you're worth it. When I started my spiritual journey, I said, I'm of service to spirit. I'm of service to others. I'm a clear and concise channel. I'm strong. I am beautiful. I have a beautiful soul. And I kept saying that over and over, because I had to retrain my brain to all of these negative things. And now I don't allow those past things to define who I am today.
Exactly. And I always tell people, that's a good point, because I always tell people when I'm having discussions, I'm trying to help somebody, that the past is the past. It's gone. The future hasn't been written yet. There's only right now, this moment, this time. So live in this moment and this time. Don't live in the past, because it's unfortunate. I would say 90% of the population, when they wake up in the morning, their first thought is of the past.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, because it's true. Because they go, oh, I did this at work yesterday, or, this happened yesterday, blah, blah. Get over it. Get past that, because you can't change it. So don't dwell on it. And that's a lot of people do. They internalize it, and they end up causing themselves problems in the long run.
Well, and I would add that, like my guides keep showing me, if you're driving a car, you're not staring at the rear view mirror.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so how can you drive your car and know where you're going if you're constantly looking at
exactly
what somebody did? Sorry.
Wow. See, somebody said something there, because our alarms both went off, and I didn't. That's not choreographed.
No, that's a time I haven't. That's for work, so I don't forget to get them. But yeah, I think that, all too often we get so caught up in looking at the past.
Sure.
And what they're saying, and this is going to resonate for somebody, I don't know why, they just keep showing me that if you're going to keep standing in the same room, dwelling, it's really weird. It's very odd. I've never seen this sign before, but I'm watching someone stand in a room, and there's all of these words swirling around, and it's almost like they want to get out of the room, but they really are staring at a rear view mirror. So to me, all of that means is like you're stuck in this spot of all of this crap that you have dealt with in your relationships, in your thing, and you're stuck there. And it's like you just need to cross through those words. They're not going to hurt you, and get out of the room and start defining your life in a different way, if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Because everything in this world is in motion. In this universe that we live on, this reality, everything's in motion. Everything's vibratory, and frequencies are very important. So when you're stuck, like you're having these loathing feelings about you, those are low frequencies, like a low bass, really low, and it brings you down. And like we were talking about, like you said earlier about the changing of the radio stations, is very true. If you bring your vibrations up, then you'll start feeling better. You'll start being outgoing. You start doing a lot of things, and that's a lot of people get stuck in the drama of that vibration that's low and ebbing because they're comfortable with it. That's where they've been. You take somebody that's being abused, and like for instance, let's say you have somebody that's been captive, let's say in Vietnam, like some of the POWs that were there. When they left, they actually like their captors. They enjoy it because that's where they were, and it's the same thing. But you want to get over that, and you want to raise that vibration up because sometimes we get complacent, even though it's a horrible place to be when you look back at it. It's also, you don't need to be there. I mean, we get stuck in that drama. We get stuck in that storyline that plays over and over again. We could definitely break that. We should, like everybody should.
well, yeah, I mean, and I've said this before. It's like, and this is I say this slow because I want people to hear it. You only accept the love that you think you deserve. So if you're used to an abusive relationship or a verbally abusive relationship or a relationship that doesn't fill your needs, when someone really good steps into your life, you're not going to be able to handle that because you don't love yourself enough to accept anything better than what you had before.
Right.
I did it.
Your frequency might be, where's the camera? Your frequency might be here. Theirs might be up here. And as long as it's this way, even though this is a great person up here, this person is never going to resonate with you down here. You have to bring yourself up, or they bring themselves down, in order to be compatible.
Yep. And it's like, how do you raise your vibration? How do you do it?
I do it through meditation. I do it through mainly meditation. I do a lot of, like I said, I do a lot of meditation, and I talk to myself in my meditation. I get to know myself, and this world's not perfect. Okay, we all have bad days. We all have good days, and it's letting go of the things that you don't want is probably the key to it. You have to let it go. If you dwell on it, it's going to stay with you. Like I said before, the universe will give you more of what you want. If that's what you want, it'll continue to give it to you. So push it out, put it in the back burner.
Hold on. Move on. I'm going to shut my door real quick. Hold on. You can keep talking.
We can talk about Karen now. Anybody want to know anything? She's a sweet lady. She's a wonderful lady.
The fire department pulled up, and I had I'm lucky. I live in an old mill building, and I'm the only one that has a door. Oh yeah, so it's kind of like the lights were flashing, and I left my door open, and there's a dog outside barking. Yeah, I would agree with all of that. For me, I have I've always had a hard time meditating. I've always had a hard time quieting my mind enough to do it. And so I am working on a program for Mind Valley, which it's a little expensive, I'm not going to lie, but that was my birthday present to myself, was this it's called the Silva Mind Method. It's basically meditating with, a focus. And so I kind of like that. For me, I've always felt it's just being in a really, like, knowing what space I'm in, and not going over there. And I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch the news. I don't put myself into negative situations or around negative people. I mean, I just am very, very careful. And I know that in long time ago, there was a woman that was like, Karen, seriously, you don't watch the news? Well, no, I don't. You know that, Anthony. I couldn't tell you what's going on in the real world.
Right.
And that's why, that's just me and how I do it, because I'm too empathetic, that all of that really gets me. So for me, that's what does it. Anything that puts you in a really good mood. If you can do that more often, and so that helps raise the vibration.
Right. Changing the density, because vibration, the frequencies of vibration, the lower the frequencies are, the denser it becomes. And you'll know it, because you'll feel it on your shoulders. It's not good. It's a bad feeling, loathing type of feeling when you get really bad. But just raising that up, I mean, just a lot of times just letting go what it was that caused it in the first place is very helpful.
Yeah.
And of course, like what I was saying about, doing 21 days where you listen to recordings every night, what you want, you'll be surprised how dramatic that is, how much that affects you.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Any questions? Because we're going on almost an hour, and I think we're going to end this. And Dream Journey One says, I don't either. Maybe once a week I'll scan the headlines, and that's awesome. I think just because part of the other reason why, my guides really don't want me to do that is because I can see parallel, or it's really weird. It's like, imagine if you saw down these really big straws, that's the best way, these big, huge tubes. I mean, we could go this way, we could go this way, we could go this way, and we could go this way, depending how we all manifest our reality. And so, so I don't get jaded with that. Does Anthony have a channel? No, Teresa, he does not. But hopefully we'll drag Anthony back on again.
Anytime, actually. I mean, because anything that anybody wants to know, because I'm pretty versed in just about everything. I mean, a lot of things in the esoteric world, because that's where I live. I live in the mystical world. I reside in this reality, but I actually live in the mystical world. I always have for many, many years. And so if you have any questions at all about anything, I'm sure I probably have some insight on it. Because
Anthony.
Go ahead.
Anthony is definitely, if any time I have a question about something, I know that I can come to you and you will have probably read something or guided me to information or have something. And so that's I do appreciate your friendship for that. Definitely.
You came over, we were talking about angels, and what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
I turned into Enochian stuff, and Enoch, Enochian. I actually gave you dictionaries on the angel language. I gave you a bunch of books on that. Yeah.
I'm like, did I give him back?
Right?
Nice. It might be back here. Yeah, you did. Yeah. I'll have to see. Yep.
Yeah, it's I mean, if anybody wants to know, I mean, like I said, I'm open about it. I belong to most of the secret societies, so I mean, there's some things I can't talk about, but there's a lot of things I can. And I'm not so. when you say metaphysical, I'm not so much into the metaphysical because we don't really resonate with that because what I'm into,
Yeah.
I mean, things that we get into are like 5,000 years old. That's like, what was it? My one organization, we just had a New Year's. It's 4,326 years old this year. Then because we celebrate it every year. We've been around that long, so it's pretty interesting stuff. This universe, because when I was young,
it would be more esoteric. Would that be a better word? Esoteric.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yes, much better.
Yeah, much better.
Because we say metaphysical, that's a big genre of things that goes from everything from the Hare Krishnas to to the Wiccans and I'm not into any of that stuff. We're actually the base of the metaphysical. A lot of the things that the organization I belong to, that's where metaphysics comes from. It stemmed off from it.
And you know what? I'm always no, I won't go there. I will not go there. Not yet. Suzanne says, I've never been more committed to my spiritual journey, but at the same time, it is the most challenging experience I have had. And Suzanne, you are absolutely right, because, when I stepped into mine, my aunt said, you as a healer will always have baptismal, I can never say this word. It's just tongue twisting for me. Baptismal by fire, always. And just like, I love when conversations come to full circle. And that is because spirit is going to test you. The spirit will test you to make sure that you are, what is a good word to say, Anthony, for that? You're going to get tested. And you said it before, you're going to get tested. You're going to.
Well, yeah, it's always testing you. And you just have to learn how to push through it. I mean, I'd like to know where she's having issues at. Maybe I could give her insight, help her with some of her issues that's making it difficult.
Yeah, Suzanne, go ahead. Write what's making it difficult for you.
Because like you were talking about meditation, a lot of times, like you said, meditation, people have a hard time with meditation because of the chatter in their brains.
Yes.
We call that
this meditation, monkey mind. This meditation that I'm using actually uses binaural beats, and that helps. It's like you literally hear a beat that goes, I mean, like that. And for me, for some reason, I can tone my brain down and I can focus.
I know, because what is it? I shouldn't say this because I'm not sure the exact frequency. There's our Earth resonates, I think, at 432 hertz, and our media like the TV and stuff, like the frequencies are at a different frequency. It's at a different frequency from the planet, and it's not natural all the time.
Yeah.
And it'll cause problems.
Speaking of, they actually did a study. I want to say it was Hitler, but I'm not really sure. Did a study on music, and certain tones of music could drive you to kill yourself. Could drive you to do really crazy shit.
Yes, because like again, just go back.
So they tell me
is frequency. I mean, everything is.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Okay, so she writes. They tell me to trust my intuition and abilities, but at the same time, my purpose has not launched. It has been over. Sorry, guys. It's been over 2 years plus.
Well, always follow your intuition and your abilities. I mean, absolutely. Because if you have inherent abilities you were born with, by all means, stay with it. And your intuition, by all means, listen to it. Your gut is always right. It's always right. Um, as far as methodologies like me, I could help you. Let's say, like I was saying about the monkey mind in meditation. Okay, the reason why we have that is our brains are chattering really a lot. The way to calm that, we call it the monkey mind, and what we say is you got to feed the monkey. You got to feed the monkey, and it'll shut the monkey up. So what we do, instead of giving it a banana, of course you can't, we do breathing. So when you start having a monkey mind or your brain starts wandering in your meditations, bring it back, breathe. Breathe in, breathe out deeply, mainly through the nose, because the nose hairs in here will ionize the air going into your lungs versus going through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. And it helps. It will help a lot. So, Suzanne, I wish you luck on things that you're doing, because like I said, intuition, stay with it, follow it, 100%. Your abilities, never let them go. Always work on them. Yes.
Yeah, and I've always said, Spirit's going to give you signs, and you don't have to be right all the time, and you're going to have second guessing, and you're going to have, we can't always get it right. We see possibilities. We don't see everything 100%, and people do have free choice, Absolutely. I helped a friend out and did some clearing for him, cut cords, did all this stuff, really worked a lot. And, he is choosing to go back into a relationship, and it hurts my soul because I didn't put a lot of work into that, for him to go back to something, but that's his path. Spirit showed me that he's going to go back, and they showed me what it's going to look like. Great. I hope he learns his lesson. Otherwise, he's just going to keep doing it. But people, you won't get it 100% right. And I, even me at this age, day in the game or whatever, I still sometimes get it wrong. And I especially get it wrong for myself. I wish I could read for myself.
In reality, in our reality, there is no right or wrong, honestly. There isn't.
Yeah.
So if you fundamentally believe what you're saying and what you're doing, then it is. That's why my organizations, we're not allowed to judge anybody for that very reason, because there is no wrong way or right way.
Yep.
The way I'm taught is very stringent and very strict. We follow paths, but overall, in general, there is no wrong way, because everything's mental. Everything is. So, there's no right or wrong at all.
And I think that's where we get caught up in that, and I did choose, I chose my words correctly so that we could have this discussion. But yeah, it's like, they always show me, and I've said this before, you can be on, if all of us need to get to the same exact location, some of us are going to be flying, some of us are going to be on boats, some of us are going to, that doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes everybody on their own path and their own separate journey. Even that bum on the street has got his own path and his own journey. And even that criminal,
right.
Suzanne, I can't wait for you to step out into your stuff. I said, Suzanne, I can't wait for you to step out into your stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So, I'm like, oh my God, I'm very honest. I am very honest.
She's very honest.
But I often say that, Spirit puts me personally in situations because I don't, like, for instance, I've always said, I can't talk to an alcoholic. I can't help an alcoholic out. I've never been there. I don't know what it's like, but I've been crushed. I've come up out of the ashes. By the way, I'm thinking about getting a big old phoenix right here. Just,
How do you say
I
that?
don't
So,
know
to
yet.
be honest with you, I was just thinking the same thing. Honestly, that I'm not kidding, because I was looking at your other tattoo on your other arm, and I was like, man, she looked really good with a phoenix on that side. Yeah,
Yeah.
get it
Can you
done.
see it?
Get it done. Yes, do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like you have to be honest. I mean, I think that, when I set out to make my YouTube, it was about being very vulnerable and being very honest because I didn't have people in my shoes. The only person I had was my mom, and Suzanne, I know how weird it feels to sit there and have something, a gift or something that came to you. And it's odd, y'all, because the light language kind of still trips me out, but I'm getting there. So I understand, but they don't, you'll find your way in it. Whatever it
Right.
is, you'll find your way in it. And it doesn't have to look like this.
I
I
remember.
mean, most of my,
Oh,
huh?
go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
Well, I was
Sorry.
going to say there's times where the light language isn't for anybody, but just the earth. And I have to say it to the earth. So it doesn't
Right.
have to look like the same. And I think that's where we get caught up. So, yeah.
I was
But,
just going to make a comment. I remember many years ago, you and I had a discussion when I was actually around the first time I met you, and I was perplexed because some of the things that I was going through, the changes that were happening to me, were so phenomenal that my brain couldn't process half the things that was happening, because I was like, 'cause I'm very analytical, I'm very scientific, analytical, and so when things manifest, I go, what the hell? It's like I would go out because I couldn't tell anybody about it. I'd go in my garage and just scream top of my lungs because I couldn't speak to anybody about it. And so that's why
yeah.
I reached out to a lot of organizations and groups later on. And that's kind of how I got into all this.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yep.
quantum
But
mechanics is what pushed me towards it. But
yeah, it's funny how we each step into our spirituality or our path or whatever you want to call it on different forms.
right,
And I also started to realize they always show me this lighter. I ignite people. And so you have a choice to step forward or run away, but I ignite people to step onto their paths and help them. It's one of my things. So
I know. I can tell your whole audience here right now, just from knowing you personally, she's not acting. This is the Karen. This is really her. I mean, she's not fake by any means. She's an amazing woman.
no.
She does amazing things
Hey,
for people. You really do. And I'm always
yeah.
blessed.
Thank you.
I'm blessed and at service to you because of the things that you give to the world. To me, is amazing. And I'm in awe always.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. I don't think we have any questions. We will drag Anthony back on another time. Um, so I'm going to give it just a couple more seconds and see if anybody has any questions. Oh, wait. I'm like, wrong way. I'm trying to get to chat on my phone. Yes, I still do have the medallion. Okay. I don't see any questions coming in.
Okay.
Thank you guys. And yeah, we'll come back. We will come back.
Always. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
It's actually been fun.
So, thanks.
I can open up and talk a little bit more than I used to be able to. So, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was kind of hard before. So,
I know, yeah, we were
made
shut
it kind
down.
of hard.
Yeah, they've loosened up a lot on us, so we can talk about a lot more things than we were able to before.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Much love to you. If you guys could do a favor in your meditation, I know I've been seeing in the chats. Sorry. I know I've been seeing in the chats that some family members are sick. So if you could tonight imagine that beautiful light shining down on yourself and then spread it out to the people that need some love and lights, people that aren't doing so great. So much love to you. Please hit the thumbs up. Please leave a comment in the comment section. That way the algorithms bump it up. Much love to you guys. And thank you so much for being my tribe and my soul family. Bye.